As you sit here in your physical body, do you claim your physicality more right now or your non-physical beingness? Which feels more like you? And yet here you are in these bodies, clumps sitting individually, flesh, blood, and bone, manifested, having become. Others can see you and hear you and smell you. They can feel you. They can taste you. In other words, with their physical senses, they can observe you. They can catalog you and pigeonhole you. They can define you. They can discover you. They can label you. They can identify you. They can sort of take you in and sum you up and come to a conclusion about you. But can anyone who is not you know you? So the non-physical you, the vibrational you, can observe you in your physical body and doesn't smell you and doesn't see you and doesn't hear you and doesn't taste you and doesn't touch you. But the non-physical you, as it observes the physical you, knows you vibrationally, knows who you were prior to coming into this physical body, knows unequivocally the worthiness and the truth and the power and the love and the meaning of that which you were. But even more than that, that source energy, as it perceives you, knows everything that all that you have lived has caused you to become. And how does that non-physical you know you so completely? It is because it is you so completely. The non-physical you is all that you have become, leaving out discouragement, unworthiness, leaving out uncertainty, insecurity. The non-physical you is the synthesized version of all that you have ever been, and is the culmination of the best that life has helped you to garner. And the non-physical you stands in non-physical beingness, radiating the vibrational signal that is equal to all that you have become incessantly, all day, all night, eternally. And you have emotional feedback or response to that non-physical state of you. That's what your emotions are. In your moment of love, you are up to speed with the fullness of you. In your moment of hate, you're not. In your moment of frisky, you're up to speed. In your moment of love and appreciation and joy and confidence and worthiness, in your moment of adoration of someone, in your moment of compliment, in your moment of expression of the satisfaction of life, you are up to speed with who you are. But in your complaint and in your worry, you are not. If you can accept, because we know it so well, the perfection and expansion and worthiness and love that really is who you are. And you will decide today that your dominant intent is to tune to the full frequency of who you are. To keep messing with the dial and finding the new thought. To do another focus wheel, to lie in your bed and bask a little more determined. To speak less frequently and think and feel more often. To find moments of quiet reflection and make it an important part of your day. To look into the eyes of everyone you meet for something positive that you want to reflect back to them vibrationally. Without speaking, maybe with words. If you will decide to tune yourself to the frequency of who you really are, then you'll remember who you were coming in, and then you'll remember who you are going out. But then you'll be who you came here to be. You came to be all that you are, not a pinched off, fragmented version. You did not plan on insecurity. You planned on confidence. You did not plan on anger and hatred. You planned on love. You did not plan on step 1 being your career. You planned on step 1 inspiring your expansion. You planned on making step 3, the allowing, the going into the vortex, your career. You are magnificent beings, and it has been so fun to devour you vibrationally. We have gathered that which you are. We have felt the fullness of you. We've watched you launch rockets even while we've been here today. But most of all, we have explored the details of your individual escrows, and we stand in delight at that which you have become. What do you want to talk about? It is our promise that we will do our best to stand inside your vortex and call you this way. And if you are too far from the vortex, you won't hear us. We'll just annoy you. So we won't call you forward at all. If you're too far from the vortex, it will be annoying for you and annoying for everyone who's listening in. So as we're reaching around the room for you, if you have something that you want to talk about, and we feel that you are in the vicinity of the vortex where there is a possibility of bringing you in relatively easily, those are the conversations that we will have today. We want you to understand that if you are somewhere on this emotional scale where fear and anger and depression are on the far removed end of resistance, and love and appreciation and friskiness are on the other end, where depression and fear indicate your feeling of powerlessness, and joy and love and appreciation indicate your feeling of empowerment, on this emotional scale with all of the emotions in between, the doorway to this vibrational vortex that we are talking about is somewhere between hope and belief. So if you're in the range there, then it's easy to call you in. So, most people offer most of their vibration in response to what they are observing. So then, because observing good things makes you feel good and observing bad things makes you feel bad, then you set out as individuals and as cultures, certainly as governments, you set out to try to control the circumstances because you've already proven to yourself that attention to that good feeling thing makes me feel good, and attention to that bad feeling thing makes me feel bad. So I guess we should just all, you say, control the circumstances so that we can feel good about more things. And then you battle endlessly about the way those conditions should be. Don't you? This is my land. This is my land. No, this was my idea. No, this was my idea. And as you scramble around battling with one another without even meaning to, you hold yourselves outside of your vortex of creation, and you disallow by your attention to what is everything that you've put there, everything that you own, everything that you deserve, everything that you're worthy of, everything that's queued up for you, everything that has been assembled. All the cooperative components to everything that you've been asking for have already been assembled. You're the only missing component. And you can say to anyone who asks, I was doing it the hard way for so long. I was standing in the midst of uncontrollable circumstances, and in my effort at controlling, I was losing myself. And then I discovered one thing I could control. I could like my pillow before I went to sleep. I can do that. I could bask my way to sleep. And then I discovered I could appreciate for 2 or 3 minutes when I first woke up, before my feet hit the floor and before everything started happening around me. I discovered that I have the power to set my own tone. And at first, I had to do it in the privacy of my bed when no one else was awake. But I just got better and better at it, until in time, I can be standing right in the middle of a really upsetting situation, and I can choose a bask masking thought because I don't have to face reality. I create reality. I don't have to take what is. I can control the way I feel. I can love unconditionally. I'm powerful enough to do that. And you know, the reason that you were so upset when you first sat down is because the larger part of you knows that, and you just can't stand it when you don't do it, you see. Esther has so many people in her life that she loves so easily. This girl, who makes Esther's life easy in every possible way. There's nothing that Esther could ask that she wouldn't answer with a great big smile, and not just a great big smile, the capability to do it exactly as Esther wants it to be done every time, no exceptions, every time. She is so, so lovable. But it makes the unlovable ones harder to take. And we don't want Esther to be trained into needing the lovable ones. We want Esther to train herself into loving anyway. Anyway.
Yes.
So you can be bad and it's all right. You see what we're getting at?
I do.
Because everybody's trying to control the uncontrollable. In other words, if my children would mind, I would feel better. And if I had more money, then I would feel better. And if this were different, then I would feel better. And we say, you would. You probably would. But it's backwards. You gotta feel better and then that will shift. You gotta feel better and then that will shift. You gotta feel better and then that will shift. You see, we know as physical beings, you've been using words like faith and hope for a while. A long while. And we want you to understand that what the true accomplishment that a feeling of faith or hope will give you is it causes you to distract yourself from beating the drum of what is. And it puts you in a suspension that allows what is already amassed vibrationally to manifest physically. And if you don't allow that release of resistance, it can't manifest. We get it that you can't look at a situation and really define it differently than it is. There's too much fact, too much evidence, too many others focused upon it and pointing at it in the same way. We get that. But we want you to withdraw your attention from the evidence that is holding you in the evidence. We want you to stop holding yourself in the evidence that is less than you want and allow yourself to flow freely into the vibration, and we promise you the evidence will follow. Inside this vortex is who you eternally are and where you ultimately will return. We just don't think you should have to croak to get in the vortex. And it is our promise to you, as addictive and compelling as your physical reality is, you're going to get hooked on this vortex. You are. You're going to get hooked on that high feeling, that high flying feeling. You're going to get hooked on the feeling of who you really are. You're going to get hooked on that feeling of elation. Esther finds it when she gets behind the wheel and they hook that car up and they get out on the open road. And the sun is shining and the roads are beautifully laid out before her and the vista is around and her lover is next to her and everything in her world is perfect. And she just wants to yodel down the canyons of the highways of this world. She just wants to shout to everyone, look at this beautiful life that we've carved out for ourselves. And when she finds that place, she wishes to maintain it incessantly, but she doesn't. In other words, it's a high that comes, isn't it? It's a high that comes. It's a feeling that comes. It's that rapturous feeling of being in love. But then life causes you to focus. Then suddenly she realizes she doesn't know where she's going. And maybe she hasn't programmed the Magellan just right or the Garmin just right. And where's Jerry anyway? He should be up here helping me. And then the vortex just spits her right out. Spits her right out. And then she finds another thought and the vortex just takes her back in. In other words, it's such a willing partner, never holding a grudge. Your vortex never says, where were you yesterday? Your vortex never says, we've been here keeping a light on for you while you've been over there complaining about that and that and that and that and that. We're turning this light off. You just stay over